Hey everybody, this is Sam with Wrestling Overtime, and we're going to be reviewing tonight the Smackdown episode from February 14th of 2020 as we get caught up and from where I got a little behind at the end of my basketball season, and we're getting ready for Super Showdown. Now, I want to remind you guys before we get started on this review that starting around March 1st, we're going to be offering up 3 different kinds of podcast episodes. The first is going to be more of a results type episode. It's going to be short and sweet, basically telling you who won and if there was any major happenings or announcements during the show. Then there's going to be kind of a daily news episode where we're going to give you updates, rumors, innuendo, stories, updates, basically the news of the day, what's going on, and that you can also find on Wrestling Overtime on our Facebook page, where we scour basically the internet and get different stories off of different sites and give you basically the latest news of what's going on in one place. And of course, you can always follow us on Wrestling Overtime on Twitter, where we'll retweet different things that we see from different people in the wrestling world. You can also write us at wrestlingovertime@gmail.com if you've got any comments, problems, protests, or suggestions that you want us to follow. And then the third and final episode that we're going to be offering on this podcast is the one that we have been doing and that we're going to be doing tonight is the review shows. And they're going to happen hopefully right after the show goes off, if not just a couple hours later, and we're going to get those up to you guys as soon as possible. Like I said, tonight's review is going to be for February 14th, 2020 in Vancouver, British Columbia, and it's the Smackdown episode. And of course, Smackdown has to give us a preview of what we're looking forward to tonight. And what they start off offering us up is Miz and John Morrison versus Roman Reigns and a mystery partner, a partner of his choosing. And then, of course, since it's Valentine's Day, we're going to be seeing what we hope is the Otis and Mandy Rose Valentine's Day date. Now, if you've been following the podcast or you've heard me talk about this before, you are hoping, or you know that I am hoping that this ends, and this ends very quickly. I think Otis is gross. I want him off my TV as fast as possible. I am tired of seeing his stomach. I don't want to see his belly shimmer and shake anymore. It's nasty. Not sure how Mandy has really gotten into this. I know she thinks he's sweet. I am putting Sonya Deville up for the Actress of the Year because she's been keeping a straight face when he's been doing all of this for Mandy. So I'm looking for hopefully some kind of resolution to this. Now, in my dreams, they would have a wonderful date. Mandy would absolutely fall in love, and they would catch the first flight out of Vancouver to Vegas, get married, and go away. Because as much as I like Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville together as Fire and Desire, I am willing to part with Mandy Rose to get Otis off my TV wearing those short shirts and shaking his belly. The next thing they preview, of course, is the Hulk Hogan exclusive interview. And for those of you who haven't heard, NWO is getting inducted into the 2020 Hall of Fame, which is going to give Hulk Hogan his second ring. And I guess this truly means that WWE has forgiven and forgotten all about Hulk Hogan's language and how he truly feels, because he has said he was sorry so many times, and and they kind of parted ways for, 3 years? I think that's what it was. You say something racist and you just go away for 3 years, and then we'll give you 2 Hall of Fame rings. But anyway, they start the show off with a moment of bliss, and we see Alexa and Nikki Cross come out. So they decide to play a game, and Nikki says that she wants to ask Alexa who is her celebrity crush. And of course, Alexa can't hide, this face of, yeah, I'm not really wanting to answer that. And so she is hesitating around, and Nikki says, I know who it is, it's Brad Pitt. Alexa gives her a weird look and then says, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Now, come on. Alexa is 24, 25, maybe 26 years old. I'm sure that her celebrity crush is 55-year-old Brad Pitt. I'm guessing his age. I have no clue, but I'm really thinking that's not it. But anyway, Alexa says, well, who is yours? And Nikki Cross says, oh, don't be naughty. Well, everyone knows, Nikki Cross is married. And she's married to a wrestler, and that she really isn't going to say who her celebrity crush is. But they decide, hey, it is time to bring out our guest, who happens to be Carmella. And Alexa tells Carmella that it was a surprise that Carmella won. And of course, last week, they have to remind us that they had the Fatal 4-Way, where, Carmella beat them to get a spot at taking on Bayley. And Alexa says that, you two have been going back and forth on Twitter. And I didn't realize that. I did not realize that Carmella and Bayley had been going back and forth. I didn't realize that. Carmella pretty much says that she's gonna beat Bayley, and that at one time Bayley and her were actually best friends. And she shows different pictures up on the big screen of when they were best friends. I'm not sure that they were necessarily best friends, but for this story, I guess they were. I don't know. Alexa asked her, what happened to that? And Carmella's answer, of course, is Sasha Banks happened. And she talks about how Bayley has totally changed. Well, that's something the wrestling world has basically been talking about, how Bayley's totally changed. That bad makeup job is still there, with her having that eyeliner in the corner of her eye, and it drives me crazy. But also, not only has she changed her hair, she's changed her attitude. And, everybody wants to make a big deal of her hanging out with Sasha Banks. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. They were hanging out before, when Sasha was a babyface. And now Sasha is going back to her true character as a heel, and she just brought Bayley along with her. And I'll look at it as Bayley's kind of learning the ropes. But anyway, Bayley's music hits. And here she comes, wearing that belt around her neck. Please, WWE, will somebody beat her so that I don't have to witness this embarrassment every single time Bayley comes out? Or Bayley, if you are listening to this, quit wearing the belt around your neck. It's stupid. You look stupid. Put it around your waist or carry it like everyone else. That around your neck, you are not a gangster rapper that needs a big necklace. But anyway, Bailey says that, she basically pitied Carmella when she met her in NXT, and that she had to kind of teach her the ropes and teach her how to wrestle, and that Carmella, can't beat her, never could beat her, won't beat her, that no one can beat her. Well, Carmella challenges her to a match. How about right now? And Carmella basically takes off to the ring. She's ready to throw down. And Bailey finally takes the belt off from around her neck and takes off and goes to the ring, basically. So we get Carmella and Bailey. And Bailey, they say, has been the champ for 266 days. Man, oh man, has it been that long? It doesn't feel like it's been that long. It feels like only yesterday that she changed her persona. It doesn't feel like it's been, that's 100 days short of a year, basically. And so, I don't know, it doesn't feel like that long. But they get Corey Graves talking. Of course, he's dating Carmella, and everybody in the wrestling universe knows this, so they feel like they can talk about it on TV, and Corey talks about how both have changed a lot in the last 4 years, and they talk about how Bailey may be one of the most underrated wrestlers around right now, because they start naming her accomplishments, all the different championships she's won, all the different first time evers that she has accomplished, both in NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. And after hearing all of those, maybe she is underrated. Sometimes I feel like Bailey needs more experience, or needs to develop her character more. But then when I actually sit down and I think about it, Bailey as a babyface, we were comparing to John Cena and her being, the hugging queen, basically. And I look back on that era and, her coming up from NXT and everything that we always heard about her. I probably would agree that she is, very underrated. She's not someone that I would name like in the top 5 women's wrestlers right now. And so I do kind of agree with that, even though I do think that her heel character that she's playing now does need the development and everything. But basically, this is a good match. It's not a great match. It's nothing exciting or anything like that. Bailey, being the heel, actually uses the ropes to beat Carmella. And Bailey just starts beating down Carmella after the match. And Naomi comes out. And Bailey kind of tries to take them on both, and Naomi and Carmella hit Bailey with super kicks. And, they just kind of leave her laying. So we're immediately taken to a flashback of Corbin going into the production truck last week to find out who showed the flashback of him getting dog food put on him by the Usos and Roman Reigns, and how he finds out when the guy raises his hand and he throws him, and then how he comes out and pours a drink on the fan. And they say for doing this, the WWE has placed a heavy fine on him and has barred him from competing this week in SmackDown. Well, to me, that's a big signal he's coming. They usually don't announce that unless it's longer than one night. But they specifically said and showed that he's barred from competing. They didn't say he wasn't allowed to be there. So I'm immediately looking for Corbin to show up. So right after that, they do an interview with Bayley. And Bayley kind of goes off and says, the ref raised my hand. And so I really don't know what you're talking about, because the interviewer asks her about her feet being on the ropes. And she says, the next time I defend my title, it's going to be at Super Showdown. That I'm not taking any more challenges, basically off the cuff. And I don't blame her. When you're a champ, especially when you're a heel champ, you don't necessarily need to take challenges when somebody walks out on a moment of bliss and says, yeah, I challenge you now. Well, you don't have to really put up with that. So then they flash over to Otis, getting ready for his date, combing his hair. And at first, when I saw this, I thought, oh, did he get his hair cut? No, we can't have Otis get a trim before his date because Mandy might think he's cute instead of sweet. But anyway, he's combing it basically over to the side. He's doing a comb over. And he picks up his phone, and Mandy texts him and says that she needs a little more time to get ready. And so Otis is like, no problem, basically. And then we get the match between Sheamus, Shorty G, and Apollo Crews in a handicap match. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, yeah, I don't understand this. I don't understand this at all. Of course, they try to explain it that, Sheamus has been making fun of Chad Gable. Chad Gable basically attacked him from nowhere. And then last week, he had a match with Apollo Crews, and Chad Gable got involved. But I don't really see where that requires us to have a handicap match. I'm sure had we had more development from WWE Creative, or if we would have actually explained it as announcers, or we would have had an interview with Sheamus, or a vignette with Sheamus, talking about how short Chad Gable and Apollo Crews is and how he can take them both on, then that might have explained the handicap match a little better. But, both of them rushed the ring to get the advantage on Sheamus, and so the bell rings. And they keep quick tagging Sheamus so that they can try to get the advantage until Sheamus basically hits Chad Gable with an axe handle hit, and this match went on way too long. It wasn't as quick as what I thought it was going to be. I pretty much thought that he would knock both of them out and it just be over. But they let him get some offense and wasted some time, and then Sheamus did 2 bro kicks and won it. And so basically WWE is protecting Sheamus and wants him to be this big bad monster type guy like he was, 10 years ago. Well, WWE, that's all well and good, and I would love for Sheamus to turn into a monster that he used to be. He's gotten himself in shape. He deserves it. But in my eyes, you're not turning him into a monster by him basically calling these people short people and having him just run all over him. a monster's supposed to take on people their own size and beat the crap out of them, and he's not doing that. You really didn't show a 2-on-1 handicap. Chad Gable and Apollo Crews are not well known as big bad wrestlers. They are basically jobbers. I know that Chad Gables is an Olympian, but you haven't portrayed him as that. You haven't made him out to be anything. You haven't let him get a run since he was with American Alpha. So this isn't working. You need to try something new with Sheamus. So then we flash to Carmella basically demanding a rematch against Bayley and how she wants it at Super Showdown. And I don't blame her. If Bayley's next time she wants to wrestle Super Showdown, then I want my rematch with her at Super Showdown. And she's got a leg to stand on as far as her saying, Bayley had to cheat to win. So then we see Mandy showing up at the restaurant for her dinner date. And I'm like, what? Why is Mandy showing up for her dinner date? Did Otis not get them an Uber? Did Otis not go pick her up? They were both probably at the arena. They're wrestlers. Neither one of them are from Vancouver. How about, getting an Uber and picking her up? But anyway, obviously, Mandy took her own rental car or Uber, and she showed up. So then we get a promo for Goldberg versus The Fiend at Super Showdown. I know that WWE is putting a lot of rumors out there saying that maybe they'll give Goldberg another run with the title. Goldberg hasn't been built up enough, and Goldberg hasn't been back long enough for him to deserve another title run. And who knows if he would come back long enough. He is not the character that you have beat The Fiend. So I do not look for this match to be a long match at all. Matter of fact, it should not be anywhere near the end of Super Showdown. With this one, I look for it to be extremely quick. And they need to do it early. Or they need to have some interference. If they're going to put it on later in the show, then Daniel Bryan needs to come out and get his hands on him or something like that. Or since Daniel Bryan doesn't go to Saudi Arabia, how about, someone else? And I'm not sure who that's going to be, because the other rumored match that they've got is The Fiend going up against John Cena. And John Cena doesn't go to Saudi Arabia. So it just leads me to believe that this is going to be a quick match. Anyway, they immediately then go to the Hulk Hogan interview. And I'm thinking, why are we doing this? We just come off Carmella's interview. Then we saw Mandy show up at her dinner date. Then we get a promo about Goldberg. And now we're getting Hulk Hogan. Is there going to be wrestling tonight? But anyway, they're interviewing Hulk Hogan like they did Bill Goldberg. And he's on satellite from his home. And they talk about him getting inducted for the second time for NWO. And they ask him, does Goldberg have a shot against The Fiend? And Hogan can't cover up the face that he kind of makes. We are all in the WWE universe, Hogan. We are all well aware that you want to come back and wrestle and that you're upset that you're a billion years old and can't do it. But he says his lines correctly, and he says, The Fiend will have to survive the power of Goldberg. And I was thinking, Yeah, I bet it killed you to say that. I bet it killed you to that Goldberg still has power and your knees and hips are shot and you can't get in the ring with the Fiend. But anyway, as Hogan is answering that, we get an interruption of the Firefly Funhouse. And Bray Wyatt comes out playing his belt like a guitar. And he does the Hogan ear cupping thing with the audience. And then, of course, he rips his shirt like Hogan did. And I'm marking out. I'm thinking, this is awesome. Now, I agree with bringing Hogan on. That's great. To just have those couple minutes of Bray Wyatt getting to make fun of Hogan, I think is awesome. There's a new merch alert. Obviously, we've got Bray Wyatt with his new t-shirt line coming out. He's wearing a shirt that says, "Not cool to eat your friends." And it's got Mercy eating Ramblin' Rabbit. And I think that looks pretty cool. I am impressed with the artwork and, the idea. So who came up with that? WWE, you did not come up with that. But whoever did, congratulations, you actually did a good job. Bray says that he's been following Hawks of Ice, of saying his prayers and taking his vitamin. And it's led to him getting a belt. So then we have Husky Pig, pop up. And he says he's been working out, and Bray ends up giving him some chocolate. And Hogan says, "Well, you're a funny man there, Bray, but getting into the ring with Bill Goldberg is no joke." Well, Bray totally changes his voice. And that's what I love about Bray's character that he's playing now, is he's willing to have this split personality, and he's willing to play it up no matter who he's doing, a promo against. And he says, "I don't need luck because I have the Fiend. And if you aren't careful, brother, that there can always be one more." And then, of course, he holds up Hogan's picture in a frame that is like all the others on the wall, from Finn Balor to Kane. And Hogan says, "Well, I will see you in Tampa at the Hall of Fame," and gets up and leaves. And Bray says, "Well, was it something I said?" At least that kind of tells me Hogan's not going to Saudi Arabia. So it's not going to be Hogan interfering in the Saudi Arabia match with Goldberg. So again, I'm thinking this match is going to be fairly quick. Then we show Otis with his flowers. He's not left yet. Mandy's at the restaurant. He needs to get going, 'cause she's going to leave him if he's too late. There's not a doubt in my mind. She's going to leave him if he gets there too late. Most people will. They're not going to wait, 4 hours on you to get your sleeveless tuxedo jacket and your slick combed over hair and your flowers ready. You need to get on the ball. Otis, your Uber better hurry up. But anyway, we go in, and Cesaro and Sami Zayn are in the ring. And we see Sami, who's from Canada. So it kind of shocks me how the Canadian people react to him. But anyway, we see Sami in with what appears to be kind of a ukulele, small guitar type instrument, and then Cesaro has a cowbell. And I'm a little worried. Sammy says he is the great liberator, and they're gonna have a protest concert. Well, as soon as he says that, I don't know what I was thinking. I immediately think of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia will not let Sami Zayn into the country because he is Syrian. Or I should say, of Syrian descent. They have said no. They haven't let him in. And he has made it very well known that during the Saudi Arabia events, he usually has some type of fundraiser for the Syrians. And so when he says he's the great liberator and going to have a protest concert, I'm ready to start marking out. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, Sammy is going to have a protest concert against WWE going to Saudi Arabia. And he's roped the Swiss Superman Cesaro into it with him. Yeah, that would make way too much sense. Sammy says WWE doesn't pay attention to the injustice done to them by Elias and Braun Strowman, so they're going to sing a protest song. And I'm like, what? What? What are you talking about? You know, I understand that Shinsuke lost his belt to Braun, and that Elias interrupted them whining. But I'm not sure why that equates to having a protest song and that there's been some kind of injustice done to them. So I'm not on board with this. This is going to be idiotic. But as soon as he gets ready to strum his guitar, of course we hear Elias actually strum his guitar. And he tells Sammy to quit trying to make his name on Elias, that so many others have already tried, and that Elias is going to have a counter-protest to them. So Sammy says, you know, under normal circumstances I would have my security guard stop you, but why don't you just come on to the ring? Elias climbs up on the ring post, and as Sammy gets ready to sing, the crowd starts singing Walk with Elias. Or chanting, whatever you want to say. They had to win over this in commercial break. I've never heard a crowd do this. Elias didn't say a word. He wasn't singing along with them. So for a crowd of this many people to all of a sudden start singing that at the same time, they had to have told them during commercial break to do that and probably practiced with them. But anyway, Sammy starts to sing again, and he tells Cesaro this time, less cowbell. Now, for those of you who didn't pick up on it, that is the Christopher Walken, Will Ferrell cowbell scene from Saturday Night Live, and it was a big SNL sketch, and the crowd, of course, chants, "We want cowbell." So, Cesaro, I love him, throws the cowbell away. I love Cesaro. I wish that the WWE loved Cesaro and would actually push him. But anyway, when he throws the cowbell away, of course the crowd has to boo, and they then have to start singing Walk with Elias again. Sammy says, if you don't shut up, then the concert's over. And of course they start doing yes chants, because they're a WWE crowd, and what would the WWE be without yes chants? So Sammy and Cesaro basically attack Elias. And this leads to Braun, of course, coming out. He's got to chase people around the ring. And a security guard's got to get beat up by Braun and Elias while Sammy and Cesaro watch at the top of the ramp. And I'm thinking, this is stupid. I called it. It was going to be idiotic. It's idiotic. There was no point in that. Unless they're planning on letting Sami Zayn wrestle sometime soon, what is the point? Shinsuke's hurt. He's got 9 stitches in the top of his head. So what's the point here? Why are we doing this? So then they flash to an interview with Naomi. And she comes out and says what happened to Carmella wasn't right. But she said, Bayley's never beaten her, meaning Naomi. And so Bayley doesn't want to take Naomi on, so she keeps playing basically with Carmella. So she wants to take her on. She wants, a battle with Bayley. And I'm thinking, okay, let's have a triple threat match. That's what WWE likes anyway, and y'all can lay around. One of you can get thrown out of the ring and lay out beside the ring for 5 or 10 minutes, and then, Sasha can come in and beat the crap out of all of you, and Bayley will retain, whatever. But, again, boring. And are we going to have a match? Because, like I said, we saw Mandy, we saw Otis, we saw Hulk Hogan, we saw The Fiend, we've saw Cesaro and Sammy and Elias and Braun. We still haven't had another match. So what does WWE do? They flash to Mandy, looking at a menu, still waiting on Otis. And I'm thinking, Otis, buddy, you are screwing this up. If anything, you should have been there early, or you should have picked her up. You should have rode with her, you ding-a-ling. And then they have to show me, and I've got to mark out John Cena's coming home in 2 weeks to Boston, and I am excited because if any of you know, I love John Cena. I love what he stands for. I am a total let's go John Cena. I know that you guys are going to hate when I review that episode because I am going to be marking out big. Because I'm sure all of you that are bothering to listen to this podcast are saying we hate John Cena. And most people don't like him because he's pretty much part-time now with his movie career. I don't care. I am happy he is coming home, and I am very, very happy that he is going to be a part of WrestleMania in his new town of Tampa. And then they announced that next week we're going to have Carmella versus Naomi for a chance at Bayley's Championship in Saudi Arabia at Super Showdown. So I'm a little disappointed. I didn't get my triple threat. I didn't get Sasha coming back and beating everybody up. But, okay, we'll get Carmella and Naomi next week. And we're getting Goldberg live next week. Of course, they've got to have a big go-away show for Saudi Arabia, so they're having Goldberg come in. So we have a flashback going, like I said, all the way back to before Christmas of how Otis and Mandy actually started. And we see Otis finally show up, and he is nervous, I guess. And they say, she's right inside, and they show Mandy looking at a menu, and a hand is put on her shoulder, and she says, "Well, Otis, I was starting to get worried." Well, she shouldn't have been starting to get worried. She should have been starting to leave. But anyway, she looks up, and of course, it's Dolph Ziggler. Love it. Love that it's Dolph. I am so glad that he has gotten out of the program with Baron Corbin and Bobby Roode that it is not even funny. I am excited that we're going to get now a three-way triangle, maybe with Otis, Mandy, and Dolph. I'm so excited I can't even get the words out. Otis walks in and he sees Dolph and Mandy sitting at the table together. He just drops his flyers and leaves. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't make a sound or anything. So basically, Mandy doesn't even know that he arrived. Doesn't know that he even showed up. She just knows that he's been late. And I do mean late. So then, with basically no build-up whatsoever, they bring The Miz and John Morrison out. This is probably what they should have been promoting the whole entire night. Like I said, we haven't had hardly any wrestling matches. We aren't really continuing a whole lot of storylines. But anyway, people are excited about this, I guess. I don't know. I guess it's a little interesting to find out who Roman Reigns' partner may be. But anyway, The Miz's music hits, and then John Morrison comes out, and The Miz starts making fun of the Usos. Because they can't get into Canada. They have charges against them, they've been arrested, and Canada won't let them in. And so, The Miz and John Morrison were going to take on the Usos, but since they can't get into Canada, Roman Reigns has to face them instead. And The Miz has to talk about how, since he started in the WWE 15 years ago, he's always there. He always shows up. Do you, Miz? Really? Do you? Because let's think about it. The Miz has been in, 3 or 4 Marine movies. He's been in the Santa Claus movie with Paige. He hosts the Real World Challenge. He has to film the Miz and Mrs. TV show. Really, Miz, for the past 15 years, you've been there all the time. Come on. But anyway, Roman's music hits, and he comes down to the ring, and you can see they're basically making fun of him and asking him, hey, you couldn't get a partner or whatever. And Daniel Bryan's music hits. And of course, they give the loudest pop to Daniel Bryan. Because for those of you who don't know, Vancouver is not very far from where Daniel grew up in Washington State. And he has a home up in, I believe it's Aberdeen. And so, they're giving him this huge pop. Then, of course, Corbin has to ruin it. He starts walking down the aisle, and he is showing his ticket. He's showing it to everybody that he bought a ticket and that he's going to get ready for this match, that he wants to set, we find out in the first row, and that he's going to actually watch that. He has to make his big presentation. Here's a WWE screw up. If you guys watch this, or if you're going to watch it, as they come back from commercial, notice the match has already started. They took too long. The show is running over. And so to get everything in and make it time right, they actually started the match before WWE came back out of commercials. Kevin Dunn, is this your problem? Did you have issues in the Smackdown truck? But anyway, Miz and Morrison basically take over after Corbin interferes with Bryan, and it makes Roman Reigns come over. So Morrison does this awesome aerial move over the ropes and hits Roman Reigns. I can't even describe the somersault in the air other than it was this big aerial awesome move for a big man to do. Then, of course, Roman and Daniel Bryan makes their comeback, and they win after Roman does a Superman punch and then does a spear. And Corbin has to jump the barricade, and he hauls off and hits Roman Reigns with his scepter. Because, remember, he's not going to let anybody forget, he's still King Corbin. So, after he hits Roman with his scepter, he basically runs up the ramp, and Corey ends the show talking about how Baron is possibly going to get some more suspensions. Well, that leads me to basically talk about in this podcast, who cares? Who cares? He was suspended tonight. He still showed up. It was still a horrible Smackdown. If Fox has been watching this, Smackdown has totally went downhill since the first week of January. I mean, fell off the rails, went downhill. When your two biggest storylines are The Fiend, who wrestles about as much as Brock and almost never shows up in person to your TV shows, and your second biggest storyline is a fat guy trying to get the beautiful wrestler girl, Mandy Rose, that's bad. That's real bad. They have zero wrestling storylines going on. Zero. I don't know what they're going to do for Super Showdown, let alone Elimination Chamber that happens 2 weeks after Super Showdown. And I can't think of any WrestleMania matches that I want to see. I want to see maybe The Fiend versus Cena. But other than that, what kind of wrestling matches are we going to see at WrestleMania? Thrown together storylines that they're going to try to make up in 3 weeks? I mean, come on, WWE. I feel like the universe expects better than this, but they also deserve better than this. And if anyone that works for Fox is listening to this podcast, Fox paid so much money, they deserve better than this. But anyway, I don't see them getting better anytime soon. We'll see. And if you guys have any questions, comments, problems, or protests, please write me at wrestlingovertime@gmail.com. Come join us over at Wrestling Overtime on a Facebook page where you can check out all the latest news and stories, updates, and everything, and where podcasts will be put put up. So I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Have a good night.